Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 279 of Optimal Living Advice, the podcast on which I, Greg Audino, take your questions about various life struggles and provide you with some support, some guidance, and what's hopefully a helping hand. It's great to have you here again, or welcome if you're a first-timer. Now, today we're going to look at a question that I think offers all of us an invitation to reflect on what parts of ourselves that we might choose to not bring to others, especially others that we consider to be important people in our lives. This little corner of relationships, it definitely exists for all of us. So today we'll spend some time with it. Let's see what this listener has to say, give some feedback, and optimize your life. I go back and forth between whether or not to tell my parents that I'm registered as a Democratic voter. It might not sound like a big deal, but I was raised in the Deep South and raised Republican by parents who are very passionate Republicans. My wife, who is also a Democrat, feels it might be better for me to tell them. My holdup is that I just don't know what I'll get from them. My relationship with them is fine, but they've never been super open-minded or supportive, especially when it comes to stuff like this, which is much different than their way of doing things. It wouldn't be enough for them to disown me, but it would probably be more uncomfortable than comfortable. What do you think? The political stuff. Just kidding. I don't want to get anyone riled up. This question is by no means cause for drama. It's a good question. Thank you for sending it in, Asker. Now, there's one part of your question that I'm having a hard time getting past. Not in a bad way, but I just feel like it really provides a gateway into finding an answer that's good for you and your growth. You mentioned not knowing what you'll get from them, from your parents, by disclosing your political leanings. This feels a little disempowering to me, as though having this conversation hinges only upon their response, their needs, rather than yours. So, I invite you to consider asking yourself not what your parents can give to you right now, but what you can give to yourself. This might be reaching, but I have a hunch that this could be a really transformative question to ask yourself more regularly, too, when it comes to any disagreements with them. And I say this because if they've never been very supportive and parental support is something you lack and yearn for in your life, you may very well feel as though it's not worth doing unless they're giving you support. This is not a psychoanalysis by any means, but it is a thought that I think is worth exploring. If there's been an ongoing absence of something as necessary as support from parents, as comforting as support from parents, and it is something we'd all like to have, and even if we don't know it, then the search for that may really affect the way that you relate and handle conflict, not just with them, but maybe with some others as well. So just sit with the possibility, not the guarantee, but the possibility that this may be a gift that you can give yourself. Maybe it's a gift of relief or a calling to own and express your own beliefs. Could this situation be an invitation to something greater than just a discussion about politics between people who have different views? And even if they don't, even if your parents don't see it or behave as if it's anything bigger, it is. This is about you and them. It's not about you and your voting ballot. And to wade through this question of whether or not initiating this conversation could provide true healing, to me, would be sort of weighing how much you value both exhibiting your individuality to your parents as well as the vigor that you have for politics. Now, if you're particularly troubled by the fact that your relationship with your parents, as you put it, is fine but lacking support and open-mindedness, or if your position as a Democrat is something that means a lot to you, you'll probably find that this dialogue will be really impactful. If, however, you're lukewarm about both the current state of your relationship with your parents and your being registered as a Democrat, well, then I'm not so sure having this back and forth will do a whole lot for you. Though you really never know with these types of things. It could very well come with some important surprises, for sure. Now, one other part of all of this to contemplate to me, something that I could see providing clarity for you, would be the dynamic that exists between your marriage and your parents. Your marriage speaks volumes about who you are as an individual, and by marrying someone, you've now made edits to your family. So, how does the idea of family cohesion come into play? It's great that there's camaraderie with your wife on this, but are you comfortable keeping that bond secret and separate from your parents? Or if you're keeping the fact that your wife is a Democrat from your parents, what feelings come up around that idea? You may not care about a rebuild with your parents and be sort of passive as a Democrat yourself, but what does it mean to not be totally forthcoming about who your wife is? Again, if that's what's happening. Like ultimately, we all have parts of ourselves that we conceal, even from those we love most. It's not unhealthy to not cross every stream. But in trying to manage relationships, we sometimes start to hold really important parts of who we are from people we supposedly care a lot about or share unconditional love with. And if we have the privilege of being able to see when that's happening, it's really worth taking the time to reassess our relationships, both to the people we're withholding from and the parts of our lives we're withholding. Our passions for people and our passions for things change over time. And the more we can keep up with these changes, the better prepared we are to create a life of purpose and a life of alignment too. Asker, thanks once again for sending this question in, and I do wish you the best of luck. You may not owe anything to your parents, but what you owe yourself is a different conversation entirely. So I hope today's episode helped you rethink how and what you may be able to give to yourself, regardless of how it might be at odds with what you receive from your parents. And everyone else, I hope you enjoyed this one and found ways that it might apply to your life, even if you and your family members happily go to the polls together and with matching stickers. And of course, if you have questions of your own, do not hesitate to send them in. You can email me at advice@oldpodcast.com, advice@oldpodcast.com. Let us know what's on your mind, and we'll be happy to help you out as best we can. Other than that, take care, everyone. Enjoy your day. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one, where your optimal life awaits.